Hi, thanks for joining us for our class today. So remember, you can go at your level, whatever's comfortable for you, particularly if you're new to Pilates. Don't feel you need to push through those levels, just do what's comfortable and feels good for you. And most importantly, enjoy the class. Okay, so let's get started. So we're going to bring those toes apart and those heels apart. So those feet at that hip width distance. And just to start with, we're going to transfer that weight coming onto the fronts of your toes and onto the backs of your heels. So just nice and slowly forwards and back from there. And then we're going to look for that midpoint between those two movements. That weight's going nice and evenly through your feet. Your knees should be nice and soft, so not locked back from there. Hands up onto our pelvis, and then very gently we're going to tilt the pelvis forwards and then tucking it back. So just imagine that pelvis, that bucket of water, tilting it forwards, then tilting it back. And we're looking to find that midpoint between those two movements, so our pelvis is in a nice neutral spine position. Again, if you're not quite sure about this, you can have a look on our website, which goes into a bit more detail about how to find that neutral spine. Our core's gently lifted. Those shoulders should be relaxed, so those collarbones wide, shoulder blades drop down into our backs, and that neck nice and long and lifted. We can just tuck that chin in a little bit from there if you need to. Good. Okay, so let's start by opening out those chests. I'm going to bring our elbows into our sides, shoulders down, that neck is long. We'll take a breath in. As we breathe out, we're going to open those hands out and then come back to that start. Good. And again, opening out and then back. And again, open out those hands and then back. Good. So just opening out that chest. Those hands are up towards the ceiling. So just palms are up. Good. And opening out through that chest. Good. And that core still staying gently lifted, keeping that pelvis nice and controlled as we're opening out through that chest. Good. Now from here we're going to open out, and then if you can we're going to stretch the arms wide, palms down, palms up, and then back. Good. And again, so open out, reach away, palms down, palms up, and then back. Good. Reaching away, down with the palms, up again, and then back. My neck's still staying nice and long. Head still lifted through, so growing through that spine. Good. Reach away, palms down, up, and then back. Good. And again. Reaching away, palms down, palms up, and then back. Last few here. Reach the hands away, turn the palms down, back, and then come back to that start. Good. Reach away, and then back. Let's do one more. Reaching away and then back to that start and coming, relaxing those arms down. Good. Okay, so we're going to cross one leg in front of the other leg. So our legs are staying crossed just to challenge that balance a little bit more. And I'm just going to do a gentle rotation. So arms down by your side. We're going to rotate the body around to one side and then rotating to the opposite side. If that feels really unbalanced with your legs crossed, you can just bring them back to that hip width position. So we're just warming up through our spines and just rotating around from here. Just breathing out with rotating round. Good. Nice, slow and controlled movement. Bring those arms, my shoulders are relaxed, so not lifted up through there. Good. One more each side. Then coming back to that start, we're going to uncross the foot. We're going to cross around the opposite side. So opposite foot in front, and then again, coming round and back. Often you feel a little bit more unbalanced one side than the other, so you probably did your better side first, tend to favour that. So we're just coming around, keeping that control. Remember, if you're a little bit too unbalanced with your legs crossed, just have them that hip width apart again. Breathing in and out as we're coming around. And just rotating through that spine, shoulders drop down and that neck long. Good. And one more each side. And then back to that start. And then uncross those legs back to that hip width distance. Very good. Okay, so knees are nice and soft, and we're going to challenge that balance a little bit more. So we're going to float our hands up to shoulder height. We're going to come up onto those toes, bend the knees, lower the feet and down. Good. And again, so coming up, that core still gently lifted, keeping those knees going over the toes, so those knees are going forward as I'm lowering down back to that start. Good, and again, floating arms up onto those toes, bend the knees, lower the feet and down. Good, and again, up onto those toes, bend the knees, lower the feet and down. Good. And down. Good. Now this time, if that feels comfortable, we can raise our hands up to the ceiling. Make sure those ribs are staying down, not flaring. Come up onto those toes, bend the knees, lower the feet and down. And again, float the hands up onto those toes, bend the knees, lower the feet and down. And again, controlling, lowering down. Lovely. Last few. Up onto those toes, bend the knees, lower the feet and down. Good. Let's do one more here. Up onto those toes, lengthening through, knees going forward and lowering back to that start. And just relax those shoulders from there. Good. Okay, so I'm going to do like a running movement from here. I'm going to stand side on so you can see me a bit more clearly. And just to start with, we're going to bring the leg up in front and we're going to stretch it out the back. So we're lifting up through and stretching behind. Now I'm really working my bottom as I extend that leg behind me. And the leg I'm standing on is working really hard to support me. Good. Now if you can, we can add in like a running movement with our arms. So lifting up through, stretching back. Lifting up through and stretching back. Good. So keeping that control. So as if I'm running in really slow motion. Good. As your last few here. Good, and one more. And then coming back to that start. Very good. Okay, so we're going to do the same on the opposite side. So that leg you're standing on is really working to stabilise you. And again, so we're lifting that leg to start with and reaching back. So bending through and reaching back. Good. So we're flexing through and extending at the hip as we're going back. Good. And that leg we're standing on is working hard, stabilising us and controlling that movement. Good. And our bottom is working as we're extending that leg behind you. If that feels okay, we can add in that opposite arm movement. So lifting as if that running movement, really slowly and controlled. Good. So just keeping that control, breathing in that here as we're doing this movement. Good. A few more. Just working that bottom as I'm extending that leg away, coming back up. Good. And again. And reaching forward, stretching back. Well done. And one more here. And then back to that start. Good. And then just coming back to that start position. So still keeping our feet, knees like hip width distance apart, and our knees nice and soft from there. We're going to do a few roll downs. So we can take a breath in. As you breathe out, tucking that chin down, rolling those hands slowly down towards the floor. Take a breath at the end here. And as you breathe out, we're slowly rolling our hands back up into standing. Good. And again, breath in. As we breathe out, tucking that chin down, rolling our hands slowly down towards the floor. Take a breath at the end here. And as we breathe out, slowly swing back up. Good, now we're going to go halfway down and do a mini cat stretch movement from here. So we're going to take a breath in. As we breathe out, tucking that chin down, rolling those hands, just coming onto the fronts of your thigh. And then we're going to tuck that head under, arch that back, looking up and forwards. Tuck under again, and then slowly coming back up. Good, so we're going to do that again. I'll come side on just so you can see that a little clearer if you want to. Breath in. As we breathe out, just going halfway down, hands onto the front of your thigh. Then we're going to tuck that head under, arch that back, dropping forwards, looking up, tuck under, and then slowly back up into standing again. Okay, let's do that again. Breath in. As we breathe out, just halfway down, rolling those hands onto the fronts of your thigh. Tuck that head under, like that mini sort of cat stretch. Drop down, extending that spine, looking up. Tuck under again, and then slowly back up. Lovely. Let's do one more here. Breath in. As you breathe out, halfway down, rolling through, hands onto the fronts of your thigh. then tucking the head under, arching the back up, looking forwards and up, tuck under, and then slowly peeling back up into standing. Lovely. So we're going to go all the way to the floor again this time. So breath in. As you breathe out, tucking that chin down, really curling through that spine, rolling those hands slowly down towards the floor so our bottom isn't sticking out. We're rolling through that spine. Breath at the end here. And as we breathe out, peeling slowly back up into standing. Great. One last time. Breath in. As we breathe out, slowly tucking that chin down, rolling those hands slowly down towards the floor. Take a breath at the end here. And on that out breath again, in your own time, peeling back up into standing and relax those arms down. Great, so I hope we're feeling a little bit more warmed up. So we're going to come down now onto our mats and lying on our backs. Okay, so now we're down onto our backs. We're going to start by finding that neutral spine position. So bringing those toes and those heels apart. So our feet are that hip width distance. And to start with, we're just going to tilt that pelvis forwards and back, just finding that neutral position. Again, if you're not sure about this, you can have a look at our website for a bit more detail. So finding that neutral spine position, that core is gently lifted, our ribs are relaxed, shoulders are wide, and that head is nice and long. So just tucking that chin in slightly from here. Fantastic. Okay, so we're going to start by just warming up into our hip twist movement. So we're going to let one leg fall out to the side, just as far as you feel you've got control, and then using those toe muscles to bring the knee back to the start. We'll do the same on the opposite side. So we're opening out that hip each side and continuing to alternate left and right, okay? So keeping that control, making sure those hip bones are pointing up towards the ceiling. So our real watch point here is making sure that we're not letting those hips roll or rotate. Imagine you've got those two lasers on the tops of your hip bones. They're staying pointing up towards the ceiling. Okay, so keeping that control. Doesn't have to be a big movement. If you start to feel that pelvis rolling or rotating, then you're probably just going a little bit too far. Okay, so watch for that. Sometimes it helps just putting those fingers on your hip bones just to keep that control. So if that feels okay, we can bring one leg into single tabletop and do that same movement again. So bringing the leg out to the side, using the hips to control that movement, coming out to the side, coming back up and lowering. Good, and again lifting up, out to the side, coming back up and then lowering. Good, out to the side, coming back up and then lowering. Good. Again, if that's comfortable here, if you've done Pilates before, you can bring both legs up into double tabletop and then bring the leg out to the side, back up and then to the opposite side. So just go to where you feel comfortable. Again, if you start to feel your back is arching or your tummy's really bracing in this double tabletop position, then just bring your legs back to single tabletop or those feet back to the floor. So pick what's comfortable for you. But we're going to do a few more here if you can, just keeping that control. Legs over to the side, back up. Good. Well done. So just dropping the knee over, coming back to that start, and then over again to the opposite side. Well done. So make sure those hip bones are still staying up towards the ceiling and that pelvis isn't rolling or rotating. If you're starting to feel you're losing that control again, just mix and match those levels to where you feel comfortable. Good. Breathing in and out. So taking that leg out to the side. Well done. Keep going here. Do last few. Making sure we're controlling that movement out to the side. Very good. Those hip bones still pointing up to the ceiling. I'm still maintaining that neutral spine position as I'm moving my legs. Well done. Good. Let's do one more each side. And then bring those knees back to that start and those legs back down one at a time to that start position. Very good. So still make sure I'm starting in that neutral spine position, that core is gently lifted and my arms are relaxed down by your side. We're going to go into a one leg stretch movement from here. So bring one leg up into tabletop, From here, we're going to lengthen one leg away, coming back into tabletop and then lowering back down. And the same on the opposite side, so up into tabletop, lengthen the leg away, coming back and then lowering. Good, and again, up into tabletop, lengthen the leg away, coming back and then lowering. Good. Back and then lowering. Very good. Now really watching for now as you lengthen the leg away that I'm not losing that neutral spine position. So as I lengthen the leg, I'm maintaining that control at my pelvis as I alternately lengthen the leg. Again, now if this is okay here, we can bring both legs up into double tabletop, still keeping that neutral spine position, and then we're lengthening the leg one at a time, alternating sides as we go, keeping that pelvis in a nice neutral position. Good. Now I'm not holding my breath, breathing out if you can as you extend the leg away. Good. Well done. So we're going to keep going here, making sure that upper body's relaxed, there's no tension through my shoulders, keeping that control at my pelvis and my tummy's staying flat. Good. Well done. Excellent. Okay. Now, if that's feeling okay, we can add in a little bit of abdo prep. I'll put my hands behind my head, and as I stretch the leg, I'm just reaching up into that abdo prep position and back down. Good. So reaching up, my tummy's still staying flat as I'm reaching away. Good. Excellent. So reaching a leg and down. So just lifting and supporting that head with your hands into that abdo prep if you can. If that starts to feel too much, just go back to double tabletop or just that single leg, okay? And we're just going to do last few here. Well done. Good. Just keeping that control of that pelvis, that core still gently lifted. My tummy's flat, I'm not bracing, just engaging those abdominals if you're still lifting and lowering. Very good. And do last few here. Well done. And let's do one more each side. And then lowering that head back down and bring those knees in and let's have a hug. Very good, well done. So just breathing in and out here. On the out breath, if you can, just sinking down into that stretch a little bit further, if you can. Okay, so we're just sinking down into that stretch. On the out breath, my shoulders are nice and relaxed. If you want to add a little rock to that movement, you can, but just do what you feel comfortable. So breathing in and out. On the out breath, sinking down a little bit further, if you can. So breathing in and out. Just flexing through that spine, just having those knees up towards your chest. If that feels too much, hold them from your knees, just hold them from your thigh, that's fine. Just breathing in and out as we're stretching through that lower back. Good, and one more breath in and out here. And then relaxing the leg back down, one at a time, back to that start position. Okay, so we're going to do a one leg circle. We did this in our class the other day. So just tilting that pelvis again forwards and back, just making sure we're starting in that nice neutral position. Shoulders relaxed, arms relaxed down by your side. So we'll start by bringing one leg up into tabletop. So either staying in this single tabletop position with our knee bent. Imagine you've got a pencil on the end of your knee and we're going to come round in a circle, controlling that movement around nice and slowly. So the movement is coming from that hip and I'm trying to draw a circle on the ceiling with that knee. If that feels okay, then we can do the same thing but with our legs straight and we're coming round in that circle, controlling that movement nice and gently. circle doesn't need to be too big, but the movement should be coming from the hip. So your ankle and knee should be still. If you're finding that your foot is twirling around, then you're probably cheating and that movement isn't coming from your hip. So keep that control as you're coming around. If you start to feel yourself wobbling too much and the other leg is trying hard to stabilize you and moving as well, just make that circle a little bit smaller. Okay, so it doesn't need to be huge, but I'm drawing hopefully a circle shape, an imaginary circle shape on the ceiling with either that knee or your toes. And let's change direction, so we're coming around the opposite way, keeping the control from here and coming around and back as you're moving through that hip to create that movement. Good. Not holding your breath, breathing in and out as you're moving that hip around. Do the last few here. And then we're going to relax that leg back down after this last circle, back to that tabletop, and then relax down. Very good. Okay, do the same on the other side. So bringing that opposite leg into that tabletop position. Either imagine you've got that pencil on the end of the knee and it's coming around in a circle from here. Again, the movement is coming from that hip and drawing that circle on the ceiling with the knee. Or if that's okay, we can straighten the leg and do the movement coming around from here, drawing that circle with our foot on the ceiling. So keeping the control as you're coming around and back. Good. Drawing that circle on the ceiling, coming around and back from here. Good. So remember that foot should be staying still, knee should be still, the movement is coming round from the hip and my pelvis is nice and controlled, nice and steady. My circle is being drawn from that hip. Or hopefully a circle shape. So keep coming round. Okay, now let's change direction. So coming around the opposite way. Again, still keeping that control as that leg is moving and drawing that circle. If you're starting to feel you're losing that control, maybe you can make that circle a little bit smaller. It doesn't need to be a huge circle. The most important thing is you're keeping the control of that circle. Well done. Good. Last few here. Good. And one more. And then bring that leg back to tabletop and relax back down. Very good. Okay, we're coming back to that start position. So feet and knees still that hip width distance apart. Just tilt that pelvis forwards and back for a moment. Make sure you're starting in that nice neutral position. Arms relaxed down by your side. We're going to go into our scissors movement. So we're going to bring one leg back up into tabletop. Keeping that knee at that 90-degree angle, we're going to tap the foot down, come back up and then lower. And then we alternate sides. So opposite leg up into tabletop, tap the foot down, back up and then lower. And again, so coming up, tap down, back up and then lower. Good. And again, tap the foot down, back up and then lower. So we're alternating sides, keeping that knee at that 90-degree angle. So we're tapping the foot, making sure as I'm lowering my leg, I'm still keeping that neutral spine position. So not losing that as you tap the foot down. So tapping that foot and then back up and lowering. Good. So if that feels okay, and you've done Pilates before, you're comfortable here, then we can bring both legs up into double tabletop. Making sure I'm still staying in that neutral spine position, and then I'm tapping my foot down, alternating sides. So from here, again, I'm watching that my tummy doesn't feel like it's really bracing, and I'm not letting my back arch as I'm tapping the foot each side from here. Good. So tapping the foot each side, alternating as I'm tapping that foot. Now make sure that that knee is staying at that 90-degree angle as you're lowering it and you're not letting it bend, so you're not tapping it down like that, okay? So keeping it at that 90-degree angle, because that's a little cheat that we can often do to help ourselves, so just watch for that. And again, still watching for that back in that neutral position. If that's starting to feel too much, because it is hard here, then just come back to that single tabletop and alternating sides from here. Okay, so just pick what's comfortable. If you're still in double tabletop and that's feeling okay, let's make it a little bit harder and increase the speed of our tapping. So tapping, tapping, tapping from here. So just keeping each side going. If you're starting to feel it in your lower back though, and your back is starting to arch, then just come down. Remember, we can mix and match those levels. You haven't got to stay at one the whole time, okay? So tapping, tapping, tapping from here if you can. Still breathing in and out, not holding your breath as you're tapping these feet. Good. Good. Let's do a few more here, tapping those feet one at a time. Very good. Well done. And one more here. And one more each side. And then bring those knees in. Very good. And let's have a hug. Let's stretch that out. Good. So just stretch that lower back for a few seconds. Breathing in and out. On that out breath if you can. Sinking down into that stretch a little bit further if you can. And relaxing down. Well done. Let's come back to that start position. Okay, so feet and knees are hip width distance apart again. Just making sure again we're starting in that neutral spine position. So we're going to do our move of the month, so our bridging. So again, if you've been practicing, you might be finding it getting a little bit easier, and you can try some of the other alternatives to the sort of starting bridge. But remember, just go what's comfortable for you. Make sure before we start your feet aren't too far away from you, so just tuck those feet up towards your bottom. Again, you can often get cramp in your hamstrings when you're doing this exercise. That's often a tip to try and avoid that. If you want to and you find it more comfortable, you can put a block between your knees just to help engage this tummy, and if you're finding your knees are pushing outwards, that might be helpful to do. But otherwise, just making sure you're keeping your feet and knees that hip width distance apart. Our arms are relaxed down by your side, so our chest is open. And we'll start our bridge all together. Just drop that pillow away if you've got it under your head, so your head's just onto the mat from here. And let's take a breath in. As you breathe out, squeezing those bottom muscles, which will help tilt that pelvis back, and then lifting up into that bridge. Take a breath at the top here. As you breathe out, slowly coming back down to that start position. Good. And again, breath in. As you breathe out, squeezing that bottom, tilting that pelvis back, using those bottom muscles to lift you up into that bridge. Breath at the top here. And as you breathe out, using those bottom muscles to help lower you back down to that start position. Good. And again, breath in. As you breathe out, squeezing those bottom muscles, lifting up into that bridge. Breath at the top here. And as you breathe out, slowly rolling back down to that start position. Good. And again, breath in. As you breathe out, slowly lifting up into that bridge position. Breath at the top here. And as you breathe out, peeling back down to that start position. Good. Now, if that's feeling comfortable, then we can add our little add-ons on if you want to. So either raising a heel, then the opposite heel, and then lowering back down. Making sure your bottom muscles are working to support you coming up. As you're here, then you can raise a foot, and then the opposite foot. Good. And then lowering down. Keeping that control. Or again, if that's okay, we can lift up and stretch one leg. Then the opposite leg. Good. And then lowering down, keeping that control. Now, if you're stretching a leg, make sure you're watching that bottom isn't dropping. We're trying to keep that pelvis at that level as you stretch the leg. If you want to raise the leg and then back down, you can. Good. And again, stretching, raising, down, and then lower, and then lowering back to the start. So there are different levels we can pick. Just do what's comfortable for you, but really making sure we're controlling lifting up, using those bottom muscles and using them to help lower you back down as well. So if you feel it in your back a little bit, either don't go too high, or make sure it's your bottom that's working to support you on the way back down as well. So you're really engaging those muscles. Good. So just pick what you feel comfortable to do. We're going to do a few more here. And then you can practice this exercise in between the classes as well. So all through this month, I'm going to keep working on this. really strengthening through that core and those glute muscles as well, so it's a great exercise for those things. Good. Keeping going here. Stretching the leg. Good. And then lowering back down. Very good. Lifting up. Well done. And then slowly lowering down. Good. We'll do a few more. Lifting up and stretching the leg. Raising your heel or just keeping those feet down. Just pick what's comfortable for you. That's it, good. Making sure you're not holding your breath. So if you can, breathe in to prepare on the out breath, then lifting up through. Breath in when you get to the top. And as you breathe out, lowering down. Good, so just make sure you're not holding your breath as you're doing this exercise. Shouldn't be any tension through your neck or your shoulders either. And we're just lifting up through. Good, we're just going to do the last couple here. Again, just working at your level. And then back down, good. And slowly down. Good, let's do one last one. Coming up and then coming back to that start. Well done. If you want to have a quick hug, just bring those knees in just to stretch out that back. Very good, well done. So hopefully we're starting to feel that's getting a little bit easier, but we'll keep working on it all through this month. Well done. So breathing in and out as we're stretching out this back from here. Good. Okay, and then just lowering back down. Now, the next exercise, we're going to keep our legs in this start position, so feet, knees, that hip width distance apart, still maintaining that neutral spine position. We're really thinking about this exercise, what's happening at our ribs. So we want to keep our ribs and our hip bones in that distance the same. And we're going to just raise our arms. So if we can, we're going to raise our hands up towards the ceiling. My shoulder blades are staying down against the mat. And alternating your arms, we're going to lift one arm up towards the floor behind me and then back down. Good, so keeping that control, and I'm really watching that my ribs aren't flaring. So it's quite a subtle movement, but I'm trying to make sure I can stop my back doing that. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to keep, this neutral position as I raise my arm above and then back down. So it's controlling what's happening in the upper body. So I'm keeping my pelvis steady, good. So watch for that distance between the hips and the ribs should be staying the same. And you might not be able to touch the floor behind you, but that doesn't matter, because actually what we're trying to work on is that control of my upper body. So actually I can reach up with my upper body, but I'm not losing any control through my spine. Okay, so that's what we're trying to achieve when we're doing this movement. So reaching back and then back up. Good. Reaching back and then back up. Lovely. And again. Good. Reaching the hands behind and then back up. Breathing out. Good. Let's do a few more. So reaching the arm back. I'm really keeping that control. My back should be staying in that neutral spine position. And my ribs are soft. I'm not flaring them as I'm raising my arm and alternating, raising them above my head. Good. Well done. And let's do one more each side. Raising that hand. Very good. And then coming back to that start position and relaxing those arms back down. Very good. Okay, so now we're just going to reach for our opposite knee, and we're doing a little bit of a movement for our abdo prep, so working on those abdominals a little bit. So from here, can we just see if we can make sure our core's engaged, and then we'll reach to that opposite knee and then back down. Good. And then we're reaching for the opposite knee and down. So we can alternate sides here, so reaching up and then down. If you feel you need to support your head a little bit, you can put one hand behind your head and reach up, and down if you want to. If that feels okay, then we can bring both legs up into double tabletop and then reaching and lowering from here. Good. Or if you want to support it with your head, you can. Very good. So we're just aiming towards a diagonal, so that opposite knee, but we're not trying to touch it, okay? So we're just lifting into that little bit of abdo prep, my tummy's staying flat, and I'm reaching and lowering. Good. Reaching opposite knee and lowering. So just going across in that diagonal. So either keeping in that double tabletop, you can keep your knees and your feet together because we're maintaining this double tabletop position, or come down with your feet on the floor. It's up to you. Just keeping going here. We'll just do last few each side if you can. Well done. Breathing out as you're lifting up across to that diagonal. Well done. Good. Let's do 4 more here. 4, 3, 2, and 1 more. 1, and relaxing that body back down. Oh, I'm relaxing back down to that start. Okay, let's have a nice stretch out here. So arms either down by your side or slightly out to the side of you. And we're going to drop those knees over to one side. Turn your head to the opposite side if you can. Then use those toe muscles to bring the knee back to the middle. And then over to the opposite side. So we're just rotating here, opening out that back side to side and enjoying that stretch. Good. Going back up and then over to the opposite side. Very good. So just alternating side to side from here, turning your head to the opposite side, rotating through that spine, just enjoying that stretch. As you drop those knees over, use the toe muscles to come back to the middle and then over to the opposite side. Good. So keep going here, dropping those knees over. Use those toe muscles, bringing the knees back to the middle and then over to the opposite side again. Good. So we're going to keep going here, just enjoying that stretch, still breathing in and out, opening through. Just go to where you feel comfortable. You might find one side goes a little bit further than the other, and that's fine. It's just enjoying that stretch, no tension through your upper body, and just rotating that neck, so just stretching and rotating all through that spine. Good. Last few here. Dropping the knees over, well done. Use the tummy to come back to the middle and over to the other side. Good. Let's just do one last one each side. Dropping those knees over, turn that head to the other side. Back to that mid position and over to the other side last time. And then coming back to that start. And then relax those arms back down by your side. Very good. Okay, so we're going to come round onto our sides from here. So you can come round onto your side. We're going to go into our side plank movement. So from here, we're going to have our elbow, so it's underneath our shoulder. Now our elbow is bent, so it's pointing forwards. My hips are stacked on top of each other, and my feet and my hips are roughly sort of in a line from here. Okay, so we're going to work into this side. So from here, if you can, we're going to lift up into our side position and then come back down. Good. Okay, so making sure your shoulders coming over that elbow and you're lifting up from here and then back down. Good. Now if you can, we're going to come up, raise the hand up and then come back down. Good. And again. And then down. Lovely. Okay, and again, raising up. Now we're going to hold this here. And if you can, we're going to come around into a little rotation and lift up. And coming round and lift up. Good. And again. Very good. Let's see if we can do 5 more. So 5, 4, 3, very good, 2, and 1 more, 1, and coming back to that start, and then relaxing down from here and coming down. Very good. Okay, so from here we're going to come straight onto our sides. If you normally use a block or a pillow, you can just pop it between your arm and your head. Feet and hips roughly in a line, so those hips are stacked on top of each other. That waist is gently lifted underneath you. And we'll start with our clam movement. So hips stacked, core gently lifted. Make sure that waist is dropped down, so you feel that waist lift a little bit underneath you here. So imagine you've got a little grape there, you don't want to squash it, you're keeping that lifted as we move into our clam. Heels together, we're going to push through those heels and lift up that top knee and then lower back down. Good, so lifting up and then lowering. So keeping those hips stacked as we lift and lowering that top knee from here. Very good. Now make sure, the trick with this one is that your hips are staying stacked on top of each other. What you want to watch for is those hips are not rolling back, okay? So you're keeping them stacked as you lift your top knee. So your body tries to cheat a little bit and help you by rolling those hips back. So just lifting and lowering that top knee from here, keeping that control. Very good. Lifting and lowering. Okay, so if that feels comfortable here, then you can stay at this level, or if you can, we're going to raise our feet up to hip height, and then we're lifting and lowering that top knee again from here. So keeping those hips stacked as we're lifting and lowering. Sometimes putting your hand on those hips just helps, and feeling it in that back pocket side area. Lifting that top knee and lowering. Very good. Lifting and lowering from here. Let's do 1 more. And then if you can, we're going to lower those feet back down and then do last few lifting and lowering. But if you need to have a rest, then join back in when you can. Pushing through those heels to really get those glutes working. So push up and then lowering down. Make sure you haven't squashed your grape. So keeping those hips lengthened through. So my waist is lengthened to keep that raised. Very good. Last few here. Good. Should be feeling that bottom working now. Let's do 1 more. And then relax that leg back down. Very good. Give that muscle a rub. Drop that leg in front and let's have a stretch out and relax this top leg. So while we're just giving this top leg a little stretch, we can lengthen that lower leg and we can do a few little pulses of our inner thigh. So still keeping that core gently lifted, we can just pulse that inner thigh from here. So we're going to breathe in and out as we're pulsing that leg. My upper body's still relaxed, breathing in and out as I'm pulsing that leg. Good, and again. And out. Good, and again. And out. Good, and again. Still pulsing that leg. And again, breathing in. And out. And 1 more time. And out. And then relax that leg back down. Well done. Okay, so we're going to bend both legs back up again. And we're going to drop this block down onto the floor. So my head is at the front of it. And my arms are out in front. And we're going to lift up into an arm opening stretch. So we're going to lift that top arm, opening out that chest, just coming round and back, just as far as you feel comfortable. And then coming back to that start. So your head should be staying on the block. If you haven't got a block, maybe a little pillow would be more comfortable, or you can put your head onto the floor. But we're rotating through and keeping my head so it's not lifted. So I'm just relaxing my neck and rotating it round and back, and then coming back to that start. Good, and again lifting up that top arm, opening up that chest, just coming round and back, and then back to that start position. Good. So following it around with your head, looking round and back, and then coming back to that start. Good, and again. Looking round and back to the start. So if you feel a bit too much of a pull through your shoulder, then you can bend that elbow a little bit, so it doesn't need to be opened if that feels more comfortable, because we're really rotating through that upper back and opening out through that chest. So Just go to where you feel comfortable and then round, repeating that movement. My hips are staying quite stacked on top of each other, so it's my upper body that's really stretching from here. Good. And again, lifting up the top arm, opening out that chest, and coming round and back. Good. Okay, let's do one more here. And then we're coming back to that start position. Very good. Okay, so let's come up and over to do the same on the opposite side. So we're going to start with that side plank. So we're going to come round, pop this here for later. So my elbow is underneath my shoulder. Okay, so my hand is pointing forwards. My feet and hips are sort of roughly in that line from here. And we're going to start by just lifting up into that side plank position and then coming back down. Good. And again, so we're lifting up, so just engaging through those obliques and then back down. Still keep that core gently lifted as you're lifting up and then come back down. Good. And again. So I'm coming up and I'm seeing them in that line position from here. So as I lift up, my hips and my knees are in that line. Good, and down. Okay, so if you can, we're going to raise our hand up to the ceiling and down. And again. Good, and one more here. And then if you can, we're going to hold this here and then add a rotation in, coming round and raising that arm back up and coming round. Good. Very good. Okay, let's see if we can do 5 more. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and one more. And then lowering down. Very good. Okay, so let's grab that block and we're going to come down onto our sides, stretch that arm out and have your head onto that block. Or if your head's on the floor, a little pillow, just whatever's comfortable. Okay, and we're going to go into our clam. So feet and hips roughly in that line, so those hips are stacked on top of each other. Make sure again that waist is dropped down so you feel that lengthening through that waist and that little gap appears just underneath between the mat and your waist. And again, if you imagine you've got that little grape underneath there, you don't want to squash it, we're keeping that lengthened the whole time. So that core gently lifted, feet together so those heels are pushing down as we're lifting up that top knee into this clam movement. Now if you can't feel it in that back pocket side area, as I said before, you might need to bend or straighten your legs a little bit more just to make sure you're feeling it in the right place. Okay, so lifting and lowering from there. So make sure those hips stay stacked. And remember, you want to cheat a little bit. Your body wants to help you by often rolling those hips back. So try and keep them stacked. And it can sometimes help just keeping your hand on your hips just to feel what's happening there and making sure they're staying stacked as you're lifting and lowering from there. Very good. So just keeping that control as I lift and lower that top knee. Good. Pushing through my heels, really making sure it's that bottom that's working. Excellent. Now either staying here at this level if that feels comfortable for you, or if you want to, we can raise our feet up to hip height and then lifting up that top knee and lowering from there. Good. So lifting that top knee and lowering. Keeping that control as we're lifting and lowering from there. Good. Making sure those hips aren't rolling back as we're lifting that top knee and lowering. Very good. Should be feeling it in that back pocket, that bottom muscle working. Good. Excellent. Let's do one more at this level and then lowering those feet back down. And if you can, either have a rest here if you need to and join back in, or we're going to do a few more lifting and lowering that top knee. So keeping that control as you're lifting and lowering that leg from here. Good. Raising the top knee and down. Good. A few more. Good. And let's do one last one. Lifting and lowering. Very good. Drop that leg in front. Give that muscle a rub and have a stretch out here. So rest this top leg. While we're doing that, we can lengthen that lower leg and just do a few pulses of that inner thigh. So we can start pulsing that inner leg, breathing in and out as we're pulsing the lower leg. Good. Breathing in and out as we're pulsing that leg. Good. And again. And out. Good. And again. And out. Good. And out. And again. And out. So just breathing in and out as we're pulsing that leg. My upper body staying relaxed and steady. Still keeping that core gently lifted. A few more breaths in and out here. Good. And out and again. And out. Good. And again. And out. One last one. Breath in and out. And out. And relax that leg down. Well done. So we're going to bend both legs back up again. We go into our arm opening stretch. Just dropping that block down onto the floor. Our arms out in front. Hips stacked on top of each other. And we're going to lift up this top arm, opening out that chest, just coming round and back as far as you feel comfortable. And then slowly coming back to that start. And again, lifting up that top arm, opening up that chest, just coming round and back. And then back to that start. Good. So lift up that top arm, opening up that chest, looking round and back, following it with your head. But your head is staying relaxed on that block. So you're not lifting through that neck at all. And again, as we said before, if you're feeling a pull through your shoulder, just bend that elbow a little bit. It doesn't need to be straight. Just rotating through the upper back and opening through that chest. Well done. So those hips are staying relatively forward because you're rotating through the spine. Good. I'm just following that arm with my head rolling on that block. Good. And again. Well done. Back. Good. And back. So last few here. Lifting up that arm, opening up that chest, and coming back to that start. Well done. Good. One more here, lifting up that top arm, opening up that chest, coming round and back, and then back to that start. Very good. Okay, so let's stretch our legs out by rolling around onto our backs. Just drop that block behind you, and we can come round onto our backs and have our head onto the mats. Okay, so let's stretch out our hamstrings from here. So we're going to bring our knee up towards the ceiling. From here, we're going to lengthen through the leg, feeling that stretch through the back there. Those toes pointing up to the ceiling. Put my hand behind the back of my leg just to support it slightly, but no tension through my shoulders or my neck. And we're just holding this stretch. So just gently breathing in and out as you're holding this stretch here. And lengthening through that leg. Well done. If you can, we're going to point and flex the foot here just to vary the stretch slightly. Just nice and slow movement through that ankle. Just flexing and pointing the foot in your own time, keeping that stretch and just feeling it change a little bit as you point and flex the foot. Good. And then we're going to hold this stretch again, so just lengthening through the back of the leg, On that out breath, you might be able to bring that leg a little bit closer towards you, but you don't have to. Just keeping that lengthening through, breathing in and out. Upper body nice and relaxed. Good. And holding this here a few more seconds. And then relax that leg back down. Well done. We do the same on the other side, so knee up to the ceiling. We're going to lengthen through the back of the leg, feeling that stretch through the back there, so those toes pointing up to the ceiling. So just go to where you feel that stretch. Make sure your leg isn't shaking, you're probably pulling it too far. Just go to where you feel that gentle stretch. And as you're holding it, you might be able to increase it a little bit more, but it doesn't matter if not, just holding that there, breathing in and out slowly. And on the out breath, just relaxing down into that stretch a little bit more. And then if you can, we're going to point and flex the foot here, just changing that stretch slightly. Good. Just pointing and flexing through that ankle, nice and slowly, just changing that stretch slightly. Good. And then this time, just going to keep those toes pointing up to the ceiling, maintaining that stretch through the back of the leg, holding that there. Good. Breathing in and out. And then relax that leg back down. Well done. So we're going to stretch out our bottom muscles now we've worked today. So just putting that foot onto the opposite knee. Let that leg relax open here. If that's enough of a stretch, then just stay there. Or if you can, we're going to bring the other leg up and towards you, just as far as you feel comfortable. Holding this stretch. So just breathing in and out. On the out breath, relaxing down into that stretch a little bit further if you can. No tension through that upper body, just holding this stretch. Breathing in and out, relaxing down into that stretch if you can on that out breath. So just holding that here. If it's feeling easier and you want to make the stretch a little bit harder, if you just drop to that side you're holding slightly just to increase the stretch. So breathing in and out. And out. Good. And again. And out. Good. Let's do one more breath in and out. And then relax that leg back down. Well done. Last time on the opposite side, so opposite foot onto the other knee. Allow that leg just to relax open there. If that's enough of a stretch, then just stay there. Or if you can, again, we can bring that leg up in towards you, supporting that with your hands. And we're going to hold this stretch here. No tension through my upper body. Shoulders relaxed. Breathing in and out. On that out breath if you can. Relaxing into that stretch a little bit further. And again, breath in. As you breathe out, relaxing down a little bit further. If that feels a little bit easier, you want to make it a bit harder, just rotate slightly to that side you're holding. Breathing in and out from there. Good. And again, breath in and out. And out. Good. And again. And out. Lovely. Just one more breath in and out. And then just relaxing that leg back down to that start. Very good. So we're just going to roll around and just come back up into standing. Into sitting even. So just going to come into our seated position, either with those legs crossed or legs in front. It's up to you, whatever's more comfortable. And we're just going to relax those shoulders from here. And we're going to have our hands in front. We're going to stretch those fingers away. Just drop your chin down to your chest. Look up towards those fingers, and then we're going to raise those hands up, around, opening out from here. Good. So hands clasped, stretch the fingers away, up to that shoulder height. Drop that chin down to your chest. Then looking up to those fingers, and then following it up with those hands, and then opening out that chest from here. Good. And again, so just stretching those hands away. Drop that chin down to your chest. Looking up to those fingers and then following it up with your hand as you're opening out again. Lovely. One last time. Hands clasped, reach those fingers away Raising up to shoulder height, drop that chin to your chest, and then lifting that head up to your hand, and raising up with it together as you open out, and then back to that start. Good, and relaxing your shoulders. Fantastic. Thank you for joining for our class today, and I hope to see you next time.